Are you ready to dive back into writing? You've probably been more disciplined than I have. As soon as I finished writing my book, I started focusing on publishing and, well, focused on editing, then I focused on publishing. So I haven't written regularly through most of the process since I finished writing the book. And it's really important that we keep writing. You're a writer for a reason. It's very unlikely that you would have just had one idea, decided to write it down, and it became a book, and no other ideas. So writing is something you're probably passionate about, or you feel some kind of need or pull to do anyway, right? So that's the big thing that we need to focus on this week is how to balance our writing while we're trying to do the self-publishing process of things on our previous writing. It might seem obvious to you, but I think that there's a bunch of benefits to writing more before your book comes out. So, in that period of I've finished my book and the book's out to the masses, you should be writing, I think. I started writing about a month ago. I mean, I've written here and there. I haven't been off writing altogether, but I haven't written with any regularity in the last few months. Over the last 3 weeks or so, though, I've been making myself write. Now, I've done it for a couple reasons. The first one might seem obvious. The first reason I've been writing more is that I want to keep my brain occupied without getting obsessed with the self-publishing process. So checking Goodreads to see it, and checking social media to see if people are early readers are responding and posting reviews, and those are things that I can tend to get a little obsessive about, right? So writing is an opportunity for me to erase that from my brain. I also think that you want to write before your book comes out something. It doesn't have to be a complete, thing, but you want to have some substantial chunk written of your next project or of a next project that maybe it won't end up being the thing, but maybe it's just something. And I think the first reason why is you don't know how your book is going to be received, your first book. If your book is a failure, uh, you might get frozen in that fear of another failure. But if you start writing before that, you have an opportunity to write without all of the like baggage that a failure might cause just mentally. If your book is a wild and immediate success, well, actually, even if it's a moderate immediate success, that can be its own kind of, stall on, writing, because you might say, oh, people are really liking my book, or people are loving my book, or people seem to be really responding well to my book. How am I going to follow it up with something as good and not have it be a disappointment? And that becomes its own problem in your head potentially. So if you get started before that many people have had a chance to read your book, um, you're gonna have some chunk. Because I don't know about you, me personally, I find it easier to continue writing than to start writing. I can come up with an idea, or one line of this is the next book I want to write, or a screenplay, or whatever I want to write. Getting started on anything more than that like tagline to me can be hard, because you have to figure out, where do I start, what character do I focus on, how do I, all the other parts. But if you've been doing that the whole time, and then you have a failure or a success, or what's most likely for you as a self-published author is that you're not going to know, going into the weeks, maybe months of after publication, you're not going to know exactly how it is. It's unlikely as a self-published author that on your first book you're going to be making money that can sustain you right out of the gate. Like, that's probably unheard of. I know that there's probably like the random exceptions, but it's unlikely. But so you're going to have this great period of unknowing. For me, I feel like it's the state that I'm in right now with the pre-publication um, is probably going to extend forward. So there will be moments where I'll have ideas, right? Like, people, the ARC reviews will start coming in more heavily around publication time. I'll be doing events, but there is going to be a period of time where I'm like, is this working or not? That's more likely than, oh, this is definitely working, or oh, this is definitely not working. And so having something kind of loaded and ready, like I can pick up what I'm working on right now. And even if I have to skip ahead because I don't know exactly what I want to write next, I have a huge chunk ready to go going into publication day. And I think that's a really important thing to reason why you should be writing is for your own mental clarity and preoccupation, to get your mind off of it, but also to preempt any writer's block that could potentially arise from publication day response or post publication day response, regardless of that being good, bad, indifferent. This is where time management skills are going to come in handy for you. So I think that the best way to do it is, and you probably did some version of this when you were writing your first book, except that the demands of the day were your day job and you had to balance the writing. A day job, maybe things around the house, and you had to balance the writing. Now you might have the day job, things around the house, self publication, and the writing. So you might be adding one more thing in, but find a set period or set amount of writing you want to do every week. Try to make it a pretty doable amount or time. So don't say I'm going to do 4 hours a day or whatever, but like pick like, oh, I'm going to write for my lunch break every day, or I'm going to, set some achievable goal. And that doesn't mean you have to achieve it every single day. Like, you know, this is more to get you into a like habit that will help you mentally as much as it is to like have a strict, thing. So think about it like the way you may go running or something, where you might say, oh yeah, I run most days. I go for a run most days, but on a rainy day, maybe you don't. So like if you have a rainy day in writing, don't worry about it. I don't want you to beat yourself up about it, but try, try to keep yourself motivated. To keep going every day as much as you can, because it's going to just be helpful. If you get into that habit, I also think like it's going to help you transfer over if you end up getting into that like a little bit of writer's block mode upon publication. Um, I just think that it's a good habit to form as well, and it will help you with that like scheduling balance is like, oh yeah, I do 20 minutes, I do an hour at lunch or, whatever you have um, to write. Um, and I think that that's going to be something that you're like, okay, this is helpful to me, and again, going forward, you're a writer for a reason. So hopefully you enjoy writing when it's good. Hopefully this will help you have more good writing time. Personally, I'm going to just go with my own thing, which is that I am somebody who is easily manipulated by like the gamifying of things. So like think about like Duolingo. I'm at 815 days. I'm not at 815 days because I'm addicted to Duolingo. I'm at 815 days because every day I get a little like whoop, and it like bumps the number up, and it makes me like, oh, it's that like we can use, even though obviously there's a lot of downside to these like adrenaline or not adrenaline, dopamine taps that we've created in society, we can hopefully try to manipulate them for ourselves. One thing that I found, so when I wrote my first book, I started out on National Novel Writing Month, and I was like, this was 2 years ago, 2023, November. I started November 1st, and I wrote, I want to say it was like 1,600 words a day. I forget the exact goal, for 50,000 words over the course of the 30-day month. And I did great. There was a couple days where I might have been off for off a little bit of words, but for the most part, I did it and I hit the main goal, right? And I found it really works well for me. And there was tracking on their website. As far as I know, they're defunct now. So when I went to get ready to do it this year, because I was like, I really want to get back into it now that I have my first book, and my first book is coming out in November, which I scheduled it that way for a couple reasons. Again, with the mental, like I wanted to like have a distraction from it. So, but I found this website called 3030k.com. 3030k.com is similar to NaNoWriMo. It's kind of trying to fill the void left by that. There's a couple things I actually like better about it that I think are really helpful for me personally, which is they do 4 times a year instead of 1 month. But they also, their website's up and running. You can use it, even though it doesn't have all the bells and whistles of the like writing month. You can still use a lot of the tracking features to just keep yourself accountable all year round, which is great because like you may not want to write on a schedule of like everybody else, right? So for me, I didn't want to start, when I decided on my publication date being November, I kind of was like, oh yeah, this will be a good way to keep my mind off of it. But in the last 3, 4 weeks, I was like, oh, you know what? I don't really want to wait. I have this idea. Well, I've had this idea along with several other ideas for a long time. And I was like, but I think I'm ready to go. I had outlined, and I'm like, I don't want to wait. So I started, and they allow you to track it, and so that has been great for me. It's also the kind of website where you can have friends on there, which I think is a good way of keeping yourself accountable because it's like a writer's retreat online where every day you get to check in and oh yeah, you hit your goal, huh? And so I'm writing 1,000 words a day. I have missed days, and I'm not kicking myself about it when I do. But 2 weeks in or so, and I've written almost 16,000 words. So like, it is working. That's 75 pages or something. It is working, and I show up every day that other than rainy days, I show up every day and I'm ready to go. And if I'm like, oh, yesterday's writing kind of tapped out, I've realized that like, okay, well, maybe I'll go write the last chapter of the book. Or, ooh, here's a side piece. I don't know where it goes in yet. Some backstory, go write that. Like, and I can assemble it later in the editing process. But that's how I wrote my first book, was allowing myself those things so that I would meet my goals, and it really helped. So there's lots of things that you want to do that are going to help you kind of build outside of the things we've talked about already over the last few weeks. And please like and subscribe if you're enjoying this or if you want to learn more. I'm going to keep going throughout the whole process, and I really hope to see you every week. So I will see you next week.